All right, you all. Nope. I'm not neglecting myself. I'm trying to grow this out for the missus. I do not know how it's going to turn out. It is very, very itchy, but I love my wife and this is what she wants me to do. So I'm going to do it. So, no, I'm not neglecting myself. All right. So, with that being said, let's go ahead. Let's get started, you all. Now, we got a few things we want to talk about. We got 5 things actually we want to run through just to help you to get an understanding as to some of the things you need to do a research on or consider before buying the Cadillac Lyriq. All right. Now, this is just scratching the surface of some of the information that you need to know about an EV vehicle before you buy it. All right. So let's go ahead. Let's get started. All right, you all. The first thing I think you need to consider is how you using your car, right? Do you drive your car every day? Do you drive your car long distance? Do you do road trips all the time? Because these things are going to play a factor in whether you should get an EV car or not, at least in my opinion. One of the things you have to consider is that if you live in a house, it's going to be very convenient. It stops you from going to the pump unless you're on a road trip and you're going in to buy some Zuzus and Wham Whams. Other than that, this is one of the main reasons why people are buying the EVs. You don't have to pay for oil changes or anything like that. But for those of you all who live in an apartment, how are you going to work this out? Do you mind being inconvenienced, having to get up, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 minutes early before you go to work or stop at a charging station on the way home? You may be tired. You may want to go straight home, but because you live in an apartment or a condo, you're going to have to stop at the EV station to charge up if you're running low. All right. Now, there's so many things you need to know about this, right? Because there's some factors and some variables that we have to consider when buying an EV car. One of the things we have to consider is that wind plays a major factor in our range. Now, we get 300 miles of range. They said over 300, right? Now, this is for the rear wheel drive. Now, trust and believe you're not going to get that 300. You can trust and believe that uh, it's not going to happen. The other thing is that uh, cold heat also plays a role. So if you cut on the air condition, that affects your range. If you cut on the heat, that affects your range. If you got your windows open, that affects your range. And people have a fix for it. And the fix that they have for it, I'm going to reject because I'm buying a car. I want to be able to use all the features that's available to me. But these are some of the things that you're going to have to consider when buying an EV car, especially the Cadillac Lyriq with only 300 miles of range in it. All right, we're going to talk about charging in a second. But listen, hit me in the comment section down below. Let me know if you live in a condo or an apartment. And let me know how you're going to work that out. Is that going to be an inconvenience or do you have that calculated into buying an EV? Hit me in the comment section down below. I would really like to know. All right, you all, let's talk about the charging. Now, for those of us who have a home, it's not going to be a real issue from day to day, not unless you work 150 miles each way. You'll still be able to go to work and come home with no problem. But charging is quite an issue. The infrastructure isn't there. Um, the Build Back Better that was supposed to take off didn't take off, so we don't have the money for the infrastructure to be built. And these companies aren't building them fast enough. Now, you got companies like ChargePoint, if I'm not mistaken, well, electrified charging. EVgo, I think, has 800 charging stations across the United States. And of course, Tesla has the most, and Tesla has the best. You have less issues charging a Tesla than you would probably at EVgo, ChargePoint, Electrified. All these places have some type of issue going on, especially when you're talking about being on the road. It's been said that some of these charging points only have one charger. So if somebody's charging, you have to wait, especially if you're on the road and you're trying to get to your destination. These are some of the things that you're going to have to consider when you're talking about doing a road trip in your EV, in your Cadillac Lyriq, or any other EV car that you may buy later on down the line. Now, again, we got EVgo, we got ChargePoint, we got Electrified, we got a company called Blink that's going to be partnering up with GM to be placing charging stations in their dealerships. Now, I don't know how well they are, but I think that they're just really taking off. So still, you talk about issues that we have to be mindful of that we may run into. Again, like Tesla will let you know how many chargers are available, if anybody's using the charger. That's what we need. And a lot of these other charging stations don't give you that. Now, there's one, I forgot what it's called. PlugShare is what it's called. Is an app that most people use to find charging stations across the United States, whether it be in rural area or whether it be on the road that you're traveling. So that's one of the ones that I've already downloaded just to kind of get an idea of what I'm going to be into when I buy this EV car. So these are some of the researches that I think you need to really deep dive in. So therefore, you have a great understanding as to how your travel is going to be having an EV car. Like I go to see my mom every year, twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year, and I'm traveling down this route. I know this route. It takes me about 5 hours to get there. It's 235 miles away. Remember, I got 300 miles to charge. Remember that there's some things that affect the charge: wind, heat, cold. These things affect how much range I'm going to get in my travel. So I suggest that you do a deep dive. So therefore, you don't buy this car and you regret putting all this money into an EV car, and the EV car doesn't really work for you for all the variables and things you have to consider while having this car. It may not be a convenience for you. All right. So we're not going to deep dive into this. I just want you to do your own research. This is some of the things that you're going to have to consider. Again, Tesla has the best charging stations. And once they open it up across the United States, I think it's going to be one of those places that most people are going to want to go because they're well established and they have less issues than these other charging stations do. All right. With that being said, let's take a look at the next thing you should be researching. All right, you all. Number three is going to be repair and accidents. Now, again, I've been deep diving. I've really been trying to make sure that I understood what I was getting into when buying this car. Now, one thing we have to consider is that, what happens when you have an accident. God forbid that you have an accident in your car. They do happen. You come out, somebody hit your car, didn't leave a note. You're going to have to pay for it. And let's talk about repairs. Okay, so I don't know actually what the Cadillac Lyriq is being built out of, but what happens if something uh damages the structure of the car. These are some of the things you have to consider because now, if you have to get these parts from GM, you have to send your car to GM. Now we talk about repairs. Now maybe the battery went bad, maybe the wipers doesn't work. Again, what happens when you take your car to the dealership? What car do you get? Because let's say you're not in an accident, you just had an issue with a wiper, maybe your heat isn't blowing, maybe the air isn't blowing, and of course, GM has to work on this car. Now, here's something you have to consider. First of all, they may not have a car to give you. Now, I know with Tesla, they're giving Uber cars, which means that, you're going to have to take Uber back and forth to work. I forgot how much they were giving on these cars to customers who had to bring their car back for service. Remember, your car is under warranty. So if your wipers goes out, your heater goes out, it should be covered. Again, you have to take it to the dealership to be fixed. Are you okay with catching an Uber back and forth to work? You have to consider that. Now, again, it would be nice to be in that courtesy car, but you don't have a courtesy car. Maybe you don't trust Uber drivers. These are the things that you have to consider when buying an EV car. It's not like buying a gas combustion car where they have cars a dime a dozen. They have cars allotted for courtesies that they can give to you for you to drive until they fix your car. So yes, what do you think about this? I'm telling you, the research is so important for you to do before buying this EV car because you don't want to have buyer's remorse. All right, let's take a look at the next issue at hand. All right, you all. I think I'm going to do a whole segment on just car insurance, right? Now, car insurance is something that you have to consider. Again, it's not like buying a gas combustion car because the cars are built differently. You have a big, huge battery in the EV car and other components that has to be fixed. So with that being said, insurance. So I found out not the exact number because I called my insurance company and they have yet to work on a Tesla or somebody bring a Tesla in for service. But I did read that it's going to probably cost at least 10% more on your insurance than it would having a gas combustion car, right? So financially, you need to start getting your ducks in an order because it's going to cost you a little more. 10%. I don't know how much that's going to be for you because I think everybody's policy is different. Everybody has a different insurance carrier or provider that they're with. So it's going to differ from person to person. But this is something you have to consider that you're going to be out of pocket for when you buy an EV car. All right, you all, let's talk about this last one. Now, the last one is more money, right? More money you're going to have to come out of pocket with when you buy an EV car versus having a gas combustion car, right? So the DMV. So when you go get your sticker for your car, like mine's in my area, I think it went up to like $85, right? And so now I'm gonna have to pay in my area. You can search all the information that I'm talking about today on the internet, or you can go and put this in the YouTube search engine and you can find it as well. Now, in my area, it's going to cost me $100 more to own an EV car. Now, mind you, and this is probably another video too about not getting the EV tax credit. So the car costs $60,000, right? They're not giving tax credits for those cars. I think cars that are like 40,000 and under, they're still giving EV tax breaks on those. They're not doing it for the Cadillac Lyriq. So when you get ready to go to the DMV to buy your sticker, pull out an extra $100 if you live in the Wisconsin area. So right now is a good time to do the research so you'll know what you're out of pocket for when you buy this car, besides what you're going to pay for it at the front end when you go to the dealership. So yes, now for a hybrid, it costs $75. Again, for an EV car, for me in my area, I'm going to be out of pocket for $100. Now, with that being said, I am going to say this. So most people are buying EV cars because they say they save money, right? They like the EV cars and everything like that. But the question is, at the end of the day, does it really, really balance out? And I say that because, first off, I got $100 coming out of my pocket extra just once a year, right? And no, I don't have to pay for oil changes no more. Oil changes normally cost for me and my car about $50 to $60, right? Because I do full synthetic on the Cadillac CT6. Now, I don't have to go to the gas station, which means I don't have to pay for gas, but I still have to pay for charging. Now, charging could be anywhere, depending on what charger station I go to. Those charging stations, which I didn't talk about when we were talking about chargers, they're different so far as what they charge. I think Tesla is probably um, the one that I think is reputable so far as what they charge to charge at the charging stations, whether you're charging on a level two or a they don't call it a level three, they call it a supercharge, right? And I think they're more reasonable than a lot of these other charging stations. So you're gonna have to consider that. Now, I may pay $17. $17 is a lot different from paying $40. And right now, to fill up my car, it costs me anywhere between 60 and $65. So I need to sit down at the round table and figure out how much do I save buying an EV car and how much do I give back by not having a gas combustion car. All right. And that's going to be it, you all. Listen, hit me in the comment section down below. Let me know what you've learned about EVs that I haven't covered in this video, because there is so much that you have to take a look at. There's so many different variables that go along with having an EV car. It's just not buying a gas combustion car, being covered at the dealership. Then if something goes wrong, like an accident, you pay for it, or going to the gas station. There's a lot more that's entailed in buying a EV car that you need to do the research on before you spend all this money on this new car that you love. All right, you all, that's going to be it for the video. Remember, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're almost there. We got till, I want to say, May 24th before I have to start all over again. And I don't know if I can do it. All right, you all, that's going to be it for the video. Thank you guys a bunch for everything you have done. Thank you for the support. And I'll see you all again at the next video. Enjoy life, have some fun, and remember to please be safe.